Hello everyone and welcome to Cherries Red Army. It's a Premier League match preview on Boxing Day. We hope you had a nice Christmas. I've got Matt Davies with me. We're going to build this preview for Bournemouth versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, well, Kirk. Yeah, feels like a long time since I was last on. To be honest, what with the World Cup and the break that we've had. So looking forward to getting back to the proper football.
Can't wait, can't wait. Make sure you subscribe to Cherries Red Army. Hit the like button. We're going to, of course, want to get your thoughts and score predictions in the comments at the end of this video because we've got a great preview talking about both teams. We've got an opposition view, predicted lineups, lots to talk about. First place to start, though, Matt. I mean, there's a few stadiums we really struggle at consistently in the Premier League. Maybe not so much Stamford Bridge. We've had a few good days out there previously in our history.
Yeah, we certainly have. I've not been present for all of them. I was present for only one of them, I think, which was the Glen Murray 1-0 back in 2015, our first season. And obviously that season, it felt like it was a really pivotal moment, a turning point in our season. I think the week before, we'd come from behind against Everton in the 98th minute with Stanislas's equaliser, which lifted us. But the results at Stamford Bridge and then against Manchester United at Dean Court the following week really kick-started our season. I think gave us the belief and the confidence and a bit of momentum to carry that through to safety. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the case this. I don't think that's the case this time. But a win would certainly be, or any sort of result on the 27th will be massive for us, won't it?
Be a great day out as well, hopefully. But let's look at the opposition to start with then, Chelsea, Matt. And I want to get your thoughts on Chelsea. There's some information about the season so far below down on the banner. And we will get an opposition guest on later in this preview. But Chelsea, I mean, it's been a bit of an up and down season. It's probably not a surprise that they're currently sitting in 8th. Graham Potter's come in, Tuchel's gone out, a change of board and ownership as well. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a busy season for them.
Yeah, it's been a turbulent time for them. And when you look at it on paper and you look at their squad and you look at their starting 11 week in, week out, you think they've got to be top 3 at least, really. They probably, with the money they've spent and the players, the personnel they've got, you'd expect them to almost be challenging for the title, maybe. But obviously, what's gone on off the field with the ownership, the controversy surrounding that, the new manager coming in, it's going to take time for him to bed in and to settle down and to shape his own, put his own stamp on things and to shape things, assemble his own team, his own squad and get them playing the way that he wants them to play, get to know them. It takes time. So I've got no doubt. I mean, Graham Potter, obviously, his record goes before him. He's a top coach, a top manager, did a fantastic job at Brighton. And I feel that whilst this is a massive job for him, the same as I'd liken it to Eddie Howe at Newcastle, huge job, huge challenge and a big step up. But I think he will embrace and I think he will get to grips with it eventually. But we could be playing him at a good time on the back of a World Cup. They've obviously had a lot of players or a few players that have been on World Cup duty. They're not firing on all cylinders. They're not quite settled side yet. Graham Potter hasn't got off to the best start. So fingers crossed, it's a good time to play them.
Yeah, no win in 5. And I know that's difficult to judge because we have had that World Cup in the middle of it. 6 wins all season. I think they have had 5 losses. And that's maybe as many losses that they've had in a whole season where they've had a really good season. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that they haven't won in 5 going into this game, Matt.
Time will tell. Time will tell, Kirk. I mean, maybe the break has come at the right time for them. And maybe not, with like I say, with the players that they've had on World Cup duty and, it feels like the season's almost starting again and we've had a mini pre-season again leading up to the matches resuming, obviously today, on Boxing Day and onwards. It's a difficult one to call. They've obviously got real quality within their ranks, spent a lot of money, a lot of really good players in the team and, like I say, should be doing better than what they are. And Graham Potter, I'm sure, will get them there. But hopefully, from our point of view, it will be a good time to play them. And I think this is unprecedented, really, for Chelsea. Probably in the last 20 years, really. I don't think it's unheard of, the fact that they're sitting in 8th place in the Premier League and already lost, 5 games or so. That's not the Chelsea we've come to know. They're normally formidable opposition, particularly at Stamford Bridge. I know we've got a decent record there, but there's not many teams go there and roll them over. And I think one of their last home games against Arsenal, the gulf between the two sides, I thought, was phenomenal, to be honest. I thought Arsenal were more than good value for the 1-0 win. And Chelsea just didn't have any answer to it. They sort of rolled over and died on the day, really, and let Arsenal dictate the play. And that's never happened really at Stamford Bridge, particularly with Chelsea in recent times. So unprecedented.
I think they made some changes before half time as well. It wasn't going to plan, so Graham Potter switched it up, and that's never a good sign when you're making changes before half time. We saw it in the World Cup with France, so yeah, it wasn't a good day out at all. Well, we need to get an even more bigger perspective on Chelsea, and the best way to do that is to get an opposition view from a Chelsea fan. So let's do that right now on this preview. Now, it's brilliant to have this guy for our opposition view. He's a massive YouTube person. He's very, very good. He's a Chelsea fan. It's Matisse. How are you, man?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, looking forward to doing this. Nervous, very nervous. Obviously, first game back, and we've just had a great World Cup, and everybody's very entertained by everything that's happened. But now we're back down to reality now with the Premier League. So yeah, looking forward to the game though. Looking forward to it.
Now, details from Matisse YouTube. Go and check it out. I'm sure he'll be covering Bournemouth Chelsea over this Boxing Day +1 game that's coming up very, very soon. But Matisse, I want to get stuck into Chelsea because I want to know more. Summarise your season so far. That's an easy question.
It's been poor, really, really poor. By our standards, it's been pretty difficult viewing, to be honest. Obviously, change of manager, which not a lot of us, very few of us expected as well. We saw that the results weren't going well, whether it be the Leeds defeat away, the Southampton defeat, but we still expected Tuchel to get more time than he got. But at the end of the day, he didn't have any credit in the bank with the ownership that are now currently in. They're new. He didn't win the Champions League for them, etc. So they saw fit that, of course, it wasn't really working out behind the scenes anyway, relationship wise. It wasn't even down to results. And then we had Graham Potter come in, and I think with Graham Potter, we saw the style at Brighton very much up close when they beat us also 4-1. What he had left behind, but in terms of will he be able to manage the egos, the characters, the shiny lights, the big stage, it all remains to be seen. So we'll have to see how it goes. But at the moment, it's a struggle because the football's not great, the performances are not great. And we're even seeing performances where it looks like the players don't even care. We're seeing some really abject, like Arsenal, for instance. It was honestly one of the most infuriating performances I've watched in a long time, because regardless of the result, you can lose games, but it's how you lose. And Chelsea have been losing sometimes in a really poor manner. So yeah, I think at the moment, surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, maybe people are very on edge about this match, and they're not actually that confident going into the games after either, so it is a kind of a must win for us already, even though we're in, December.
Yeah, I was watching that Arsenal game, and it's never good to see changes before half-time. I think the £60 million defender was whipped off before half-time by Graham Potter. I mean, I like Graham Potter. I think he's done some really good stuff at Brighton. I think he's definitely in the hat for potentially a future England manager alongside Eddie Howe. But how is it going at the moment? I'm looking at Chelsea's results. I'm looking at the lineups. It looks like he's fluctuating between a back three and a back four. The last pick of formation against Newcastle was very different to the ones before that game. No wins in 5. I mean, it's from an outsider, it's not very much the Chelsea I've noticed and watched for years.
Yeah, I mean, I know Potter's always going to change and interchange between formations, so I'm not too concerned about that. It's, for me, when are we going to obviously get the similar style game to game? Right now, we're going between, counter-attacking, sitting off, and then sometimes we want to dominate possession, depending on the game. So, maybe he's trying to be flexible game to game in terms of whether he thinks we're the stronger opposition. Man United at home, I was very disappointed because I felt like we paid them almost too much respect. We didn't actually try to put our foot on the ball and really take the game to them. Casemiro dominated us that game. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Obviously, I do sympathise with him a lot because he hasn't really had a pre-season. There's not really been any break as well in between the fixtures. It's just literally been, game by game every couple of days. with a new team, that you don't know yet, that you're not sure strengths and weaknesses, maybe starting 11, who you should be going with, who to trust, etc. And I still believe that there are some unhappy players in the camp that, with game time, etc., that probably need to be weaseled out. And I think the key to Potter will be now being extremely ruthless in the transfer window. And it's not about players incoming, really. It's more about outgoings for me. The quicker he gets out the players that don't want to play for him, the more chance he has of actually getting, to the stage of him actually, overriding all of that and then starting to put down his stamp. Similar to maybe Arteta, who got rid of Aubameyang. It's not easy. It's not going to be popular. But I would literally go along with the same kind of rhetoric, which is, if you're not going to buy into what I'm doing, especially as a manager who's trying to prove himself on the big stage, doesn't have the CV potentially as well. You need to command some authority somehow, in a not in a crazy way, but in a way of let's all move in the same direction. And I think that's why Chelsea are reportedly trying to build this, under 23 super team. Every single player we go for is under 23, under 24, because they know that one, we're not ready to win now, and B, two, the experienced, top players, they might be more difficult to manage despite the emotional intelligence degree that he has.
This might be a good moment to play you then if you're waiting for the January transfer window, but it's interesting to what you say. This is not going to be an easy game for Bournemouth at Stamford Bridge. Talk to me about some players then, because there's no doubt that you do have talent in that squad, whether they're performing, whether they want to be there, or those things that you've just spoken about. But, Mason Mount on his day is a good player. I don't think he's hitting the numbers he did last season. You've got Havertz. You've got some talent in there. I know that Brozier's picked up an injury. I mean, what players are you expecting to hopefully turn up for Chelsea on the 27th?
There's no guarantees of anybody turning up. I have to tell you that now. So I don't actually have much confidence in anyone turning up, if I'm honest. I mean, Mason Mount for me has had a very, very disappointing season. Outside of a small window where Potter first came in, he started to play very well, as did the whole team. Maybe a new manager bounce, maybe, the change of formation, change of instructions, kind of everybody kind of bounced back from the hangover. But outside of those 2-3 games, it must have been, he's been really disappointing, really poor. He hasn't got the composure that he had a couple of years ago. Even last year, with the numbers that you're talking about, I don't even think last year was his best season. I think the year before was. He's won back-to-back player of the year. I think last year he got it. GA, really pushed him, through there with some high tallies. But in terms of gameplay, I still think there was a small drop off, and I don't think he's developing in the way that we would have all hoped a couple of years ago when he was under Lampard and the first part of Tuchel's reign, because he's just rushing things. He's rushing things. His first touch at times is very unsure. He's not showing any composure or any vision at times, and it's just not developing, and he's also playing in positions sometimes that I don't want to see him in. Even under Southgate in the USA game, he's kind of playing as this pressing trigger, and being told to be almost in the first line of press next to the striker. And I would rather him be, in the midfield where he started off at Vitesse and Derby, where he was actually playing really well. And Chelsea at times under Lampard, sparingly in the midfield three. But listen, at the moment, he's not someone to hang your hat on. Aubameyang, I'm really not happy with him after the Arsenal game. Again, all of that promo, all of that silliness, foolishness. Again, he's kind of turning us into a banter club. He's like taken all of his magic tricks from Arsenal and brought them over here. We used to have quite a good relationship with Arsenal. We'd bring in Giroud, bring in Ashley Cole, bring in Fabregas and win things. And now we're becoming the joke. And he's someone that I didn't even want in the first place, because he's just not a serious player anymore. He doesn't really care. If he scores, he scores. If he doesn't score, he doesn't score. And that's not the type of players that I really want at the team. And Pulisic and Ziyech have had good World Cups, but when it comes to the Premier League, it's not the same beast. It's not the same competition. It's a different competition altogether. We don't play to their strengths, but I still believe that those two players are not well-rounded completely for the Premier League in terms of, firstly, Ziyech doesn't have the pace in his game. So he's very, very one-dimensional at times, very predictable. And he does need everything to kind of go through him. And that's not going to happen at Chelsea because he's not the star player. Nor do I think he's good enough, even on his day, to be the star player to lead you to a title anyway. And Pulisic, just his finishing is just lacks to be desired, and you need to be able to finish. As much as he can carry the ball and go past players, he's not really a great passer. He's not really a great crosser of the ball, and he can't finish. So it's a lot of limited players, unfortunately, that can't do enough of everything and can only do bits and pieces.
Yeah, I like Pulisic, but I don't think he's the final product yet. But I do like him, and he was one of their best players in that USA team. Are you worried about Dom Solanke coming to Stamford Bridge and maybe sticking one in the net for Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think, has he got 3 goals this season, has he? I think
something like that. I mean, he's a different striker to the one he was in the Championship. He was our number 9. He was our outlet. He scored 30 plus goals. This season, he's playing a little bit of a different role because we're trying to get Kiefer Moore in the team. So he's playing like a number 10 and playing off Kiefer Moore. And at times, he's also played off the left. So not exactly where I want him, but I do want Kiefer Moore in the team as well. But Dom Solanke, he come from Chelsea, went to Liverpool. He's come to Bournemouth, and he wants to prove himself in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I've had nightmares about this one. Solanke comes back, gets the winner, probably celebrates, let's be honest. I don't see why he wouldn't. I kind of don't really like it when players don't celebrate, unless it's like a really important stint in your career, show really big respect. You was here as a young product, man. You know what I mean? If you scored a win, I'm expecting you to kick the corner flag and do whatever you want. So
it'll be a bow and arrow, Matisse.
Yeah. but with him, funnily enough, he's quite a surprising one because he left us when he was quite young, and he was doing really well in the academy. And he was kind of highly regarded. He actually played centrally. He did play as a striker, as he would have for you in the Championship. And it was Tammy Abraham that was shifted out wide to not compliment him, but I guess make way for him. And then because maybe he couldn't find a pathway, he obviously went to Liverpool, and he never really looked like making it there either. But I was very, very happy to see that he did well in the Championship last year. I think he's had a really difficult career so far in terms of confidence and really finding his feet. And I think that season in the Championship, we've seen Ivan Toney go and do it. We've seen everybody kind of smash it. Mitrovic, the numbers are starting to become ridiculous. It's nice to see him follow suit. And yeah, not as many goals this season, but he's playing a role. And I've been impressed. I know last few games have been disappointing Bournemouth-wise form, but you guys have been brave this season. I think to make that change managerial wise and to be bold and you started the season off really strongly. So I think the target is to stay up, right? I think it is. So as long as you're doing that and you're in that area, I think everything's looking okay. Obviously, you want to bounce back from recent form, but you're still in a strong position. It's just the difficulty with the bottom half of the table is that you can find yourself in a precarious situation in 2 games just because it's all so tight. One minute you're 10th and you're looking good and you're thinking, wow, this is ridiculous. Like, what a season. And then next minute, you're 16th and you're 2 points off the relegation zone. So yeah, I think Bournemouth got off to a really strong start. I think they were in the top half at one point, weren't they?
I think we got very close. We've never been in the relegation zone all season so far. We're currently 14th. The aim is 17th minimum. Yeah. So, staying up 100% would have been the goal, and that's on the path we're on.
Yeah. No, I've been impressed with the start. I think I remember back when Bournemouth won the Eddie Howe and they had the likes of Callum Wilson and Josh King and Fraser. Those were the days. Do you know what I mean? If we was to go by the Bournemouth best days, for me those are the days, man. I thought that team was quality. I really like that team. Played some good football. So yeah, nice. I think it's good. It's good, man. You guys are on the right track, hopefully.
It was front foot football. We did lose some football matches, but we just thought that we had to go for it because that was our best chance. Talking about that, then coming to a score prediction in a minute, Matisse. When I look at this game, I think we've had a few good results at Stamford Bridge. It's one of the stadiums we've actually done all right at. We've had a few 1-0s. I think we had a 3-0 as well. Yeah. Then I look at it and think Chelsea haven't won a fixture in 5. That worries me. Graham Potter is going to find that magical potion at some point. But then when you look at the 6 wins that Chelsea have had, it's against teams in the bottom half of the table. Yeah. So I'll take a draw, I think. But how are you feeling?
I don't think we've won a game in 5, right? Yes,
Correct.
we lost to Brighton, lost to
Arsenal.
Newcastle, and God knows who else, and obviously drew United. But I think, I think for me, we have to win. I think we will just get through it and win. But I don't think it's going to be pretty. There's a lot of players maybe coming off the back of a World Cup. I don't really know who's available. I don't really know the fitness, because 1 minute we're fine, next minute someone's injured again. Broyo ACL for the rest of the season against Villa. Fofana now out for the next month, I think. Mason Mount of a calf. So I'm not really sure even who's even available at this point. So I'm going to go over 2-1 win, but not confident. And you're right, we don't have a great record against you. I think a lot of our fans actually are very aware of that. Even going to your ground, we don't really fare that great. We're not confident. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people were annoyed when you came up from the Championship. We were like, oh, no, not Bournemouth again. Not here we go again. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. So, we don't enjoy Bournemouth at all. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, can't take it for granted, though. As I said, I think this is a really, really tough game, even if Chelsea are not hitting the heights they have previously. Matisse, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you for giving us your time. Please do go and check out Matisse's YouTube channel. Details in the description below. Check out his stuff. And look, we wish you all the best after this game, and a Happy New Year as well, mate.
Thank you. You too, guys. Appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to everybody watching. Big up. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks to our opposition guest and opposition viewer. And I spoke to him about Chelsea there, Matt. And let's just have a look at the predicted lineups. Now, this is from Fantasy Football Scout, and they're predicting taking all of the injuries and potential players that are going to be available. And that's the lineup that you're seeing on the screen at the moment. Now, what I've seen between Chelsea's games of late, they have fluctuated between a back three and a back four, and they haven't got Cucurella in this predicted lineup. And we're talking about Graham Potter, who hasn't won in 5 games, and he's still working things out. And does he know his best 11 yet? Does he even know his best formation, Matt? Because I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. And he's going to have to work that out very quickly, because I know they've got new owners now, but patience will soon wear thin. They're expected to be challenging for trophies, no doubt about it, with the squad they've got. And this is Chelsea Football Club. Big money's always involved, is always spent. So Graham Potter's going to have to work through. I hope he gets the time to work it out, because like I've said previously, great coach, rate him very highly, but he does seem to fluctuate his formation at the moment. He's fluctuating his personnel, and as we've seen, with other managers, that is a sign of panic almost, that he's not getting things right, hasn't got the right ingredients, and he's desperately trying everything. So what he'll do on the 27th, I'm not so sure. I mean, that predicted lineup that you've given there is totally different to what they played in their last game against Newcastle. No Conor Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Obviously, Azpilicueta, I'm not sure if he's got an injury. Brozier's obviously out. He's injured, so there'll be changes there. It looks totally different. And that just about sums it up, really, that it's anybody's guess as to what Potter's going to do, what personnel are going to be involved, and what formation he's going to play.
Interesting stuff. And when you look at that lineup as well, that includes Mason Mount, I don't think he's hitting any sort of form that he has done recently. I think he got something like 10 assists last season, and he's got low numbers. Sterling's 3 goals, coming from Manchester City. So look, Chelsea are there to be had. As I said, I hope we don't receive a bit of a battering or anything like that at all. I think we'll well in the game here. I think we've got a chance to go and do something, but there is a concern with Chelsea not winning in 5, so we'll have to keep that in the back of our minds. Now, going on to Bournemouth then, Matt, it's been anything but quiet at Dean Court. We've got a new ownership. Gary O'Neill's been confirmed as head coach. We've talked about that in a little bit of detail during the World Cup, but look, going into this game, and our last game was against Everton in the Premier League before the World Cup, which was a comfortable 3-0 win. And then obviously we played Newcastle recently in the Carabao Cup. Not completely a full squad, few big players missing. But what did you take from that Newcastle loss of 1-0, which I think it's not all doom and gloom, really?
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly predictable. Newcastle went strong, obviously, and I felt that we probably went as strong as we possibly could. And when you match the 2 sides and the 2 squads up, obviously they're stronger than us. So our approach to the game, I saw a lot of criticism online from so-called pundits saying that Bournemouth, are not in this game. They're just treating it like a pre-season friendly. They're offering no threat whatsoever, very defensive. They're just trying to keep Newcastle at bay, and it's only a question of time before they score. Bournemouth have been poor and all this. And you think, well, what do you expect us to do, really? I mean, go to St James's Park in front of 50,000 and open the game up. Not a bit of it. Not for me, not at all. And it'll probably be the same against Chelsea as well. Gary O'Neill, he won't do that. There's no way that he's going to go toe-to-toe away at Newcastle or away at Chelsea, open the game up, you score, we score, and hope that we outplay them and outscore them, because we're going to come out on the wrong side probably 9 times out of 10. You have to have a pragmatic approach. I felt like we did frustrate them. We were organised, we were resolute. Everybody knew their jobs. There was no question about that, and I felt the lads gave it all. I thought they showed a lot of concentration, defended really well. Yes, Newcastle had the odd chance. Callum Wilson's goal got chalked off, obviously, for offside, which is a little bit controversial. No VAR, wasn't it? Whatever, it didn't get given. And then ultimately they've scored a goal. They broke us down once through an own goal from Adam Smith. So I think we can be pleased. We've had opportunities as well at the other end. Kiefer Moore maybe should have done better. Maybe could have scored, and Dom Solanke at the end. We've had bits and bobs. Only takes something to go in. We take it to penalties, and who knows? It would have been a famous win if we'd have pulled it off on penalties. So I thought the approach to the game was right. I thought it was fairly predictable what happened. Ultimately, us being edged out 1-0, and we move onwards. I mean, we've treated it a little bit like a pre-season game, maybe in preparation and in warm up for the real thing, so to speak, at Chelsea now. And it'll be interesting to see how Gary approaches that and goes about it. But I don't expect it to differ too much from what he did at Newcastle. And hopefully we've just got to be clinical in both boxes, haven't we? And we've said this before. This is where we need that extra bit of quality that's been lacking. Because when we get a chance, like we did on against Newcastle, we've got to take it. Kiefer Moore has to go in the back of the net. Dom Solanke, you have to take the chances when they're offered to you at this level. Otherwise, you will get punished and come out the wrong side.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with the Newcastle. I wasn't surprised with how we approached that game, how we set up, how we tried to frustrate. And look, we got a few chances down the other end. And we're missing Marcus Tavernier, who is someone that can take us up the pitch. He's the best dribbler in the Premier League. He can carry the ball. And if you are pragmatic and you are deep, you need players that can take you up the pitch naturally. So if you haven't got that, we're going to struggle. And maybe that's an area that the board, the club, the recruitment team will look at trying to recruit, so we have more players that can take us up the pitch, especially if we are going to be this pragmatic team at times. And coming on to that, so I'm going to let you into a secret, Matt. Okay, now I wasn't really for Gary O'Neill. No secret. I think it's too soon. I think we needed someone more experienced. But as you know me, I will give him a chance. I gave Tyndall a chance. I gave Woodgate a chance. Gary O'Neill's going to get a chance. And the secret I'm going to let you into was Newcastle. I wasn't going to put anything on him. At the end of the day, whatever happened at Newcastle, it's a Carabao Cup. It's a competition we could have won. But it's now from here on in. I'm watching him now and the team for the next 6 games. I think we've got the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, Crystal Palace. We've got Brentford in there. And I really want to see what identity, Matt, that Gary O'Neill has. Because I don't think we can be pragmatic all season. I don't think it'll end well. That's my personal gut feeling. I think we saw an Eddie Howe that was offensive. Look, we lost some football matches under Eddie Howe, but we won a lot of football matches. The one season Eddie Howe changed, we got relegated. I don't think we can afford to be too pragmatic too often. I think we have to go for it. I think we have to be on the front foot. Let's see what January transfer window offers, because more players might come in. But what are you expecting from the next 6 games? Chelsea's the first one. Because are you expecting Gary O'Neill to play this similar way? Because I don't know what identity he has yet, Matt.
No, I think we've got an idea of his identity. I think he is a pragmatic manager. I think first and foremost, he wants to keep us solid, and he wants to almost play on the counter attack at times, particularly away from home against some of the bigger teams. And he's relying on us picking them up and taking our chances and staying resolute at the back. Now, with Bill Foley coming in, I don't expect that to stay the same. I think money will be spent, investment will be made on the playing side. I think we'll add more quality. And I think as an owner, I think he wants to be entertained. He's a typical American. He's a big businessman. He's almost a show business type fella, isn't he? That wants to go and watch sport, watch his team, and be entertained. He doesn't want to be bored. He wants to see us attack. He wants to see us the crowd off. He wants to put bums on seats, ultimately, which is going to be the long-term aim, particularly with talk of new stadiums or expansion to stadiums. So I don't see that being the case indefinitely. But I think at the moment, Gary O'Neill's remit for this season will be to keep us in the Premier League at all costs. And if that cost happens to be the fact that we are pragmatic and we have to suffer a little bit in terms of the style of football that we're playing and the fact that we're not always that entertaining or that easy on the eye, then I think so be it. And we build a base from there. I think as new investment comes in, new players come in and they bed into the team and into the squad, and we add those bits of quality, you can look to change things a little bit, be a bit more perhaps adventurous and a bit more open, because you've had a step up in quality in the 11 that you're fielding. You've got that extra bit there to be able to do so. But at the moment, with what we're playing with and what we've got, you would have to say that he has done a decent job overall to get us to where we are. And I don't see that changing in the short term, Kirk, to be honest.
He's done a good job. I think this job's very different to the one he had before, because I don't think there was any pressure, and I think there is pressure. Final thought on this, just as you're speaking there, and I totally agree with you again, is if you're pragmatic, you've got to pick the opposition off. That's my fear, I think, Matt, is that means we've got to be extremely clinical. And I think we've done that against Leeds. We did that against Tottenham. We did that against Everton. It's okay when you're taking those chances. But when you're not taking the chances and you're only getting 2 or 3, and we probably know, Matt, that we probably got to score at least 2 goals in a game to win a football match, generally, in this league. And I think that's where my fear comes in, being too pragmatic, is if we don't end up being clinical game in, game out, that's where I think we might not pick up enough points. And that's just a gut feeling. But just, would you agree with that? Or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's horses for courses, isn't it? Obviously at Chelsea, you don't want to open the game up as we didn't at Newcastle. But when you're going to Brentford or you're at home to a Southampton or a Wolves, for example, I think you have to look at it differently, because you have to look at where the other team is in the league, what they possess, what their threats are, what they're lacking, what their weaknesses are. And I think you have to assess it. You really do at this level, the way the Premier League's evolved. It's a game-by-game situation. So Gary and his coaching staff will have to assess each game as it comes in that regard, and work out a plan as to how they're going to approach it. And, that plan needs to be effective, first and foremost, because it is a little bit Scott Parker-esque, where you're almost ticking each game off and thinking, right, we got another point there, another point towards that 40-point mark, towards that safety line. And I think Gary O'Neill has got that mentality a little bit, and maybe Scott Parker's rubbed off on him a bit there, but it was effective for him, wasn't it, in getting us promoted? And I think if he has to adapt that train of thought to keep us in the Premier League, then so be it. But it is horses for courses. You have to adjust accordingly, dependent on the opposition.
I think the only difference to Scott Parker is we had a stronger squad in a lower division, although the Championship's very hard. I always worried about Scott Parker in the Premier League, because I don't think he could play how he played in the Championship in the Premier League. And I think that sort of has happened, and that was his downfall. So it's very, 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 very difficult. But I think it's interesting to see, Matt, what Gary O'Neill's going to do in the next 6 Premier League games, who he's going to pick. What's his formation going to be? I really am going to have my eyes wide open, because I want to see someone develop and grow and see what he's all about. And I suppose that's the point I'm getting at. Seeing what he's all about then, who's he going to pick for this game then, Matt? Well, we go back to Fantasy Football Scout, and this is their predicted 11 for this game. And it's Travers in goal, Adam Smith, Senesi, Mepham, Zamora, Tavernier. We know a little bit of a minor injury, they said, from that Newcastle game that he wasn't picked for. Lewis Cook, Lerma, Billing, Solanke, Moore. This is the predicted 11. There's the likes of Anthony that could be in with a chance, but this is what they've gone for. And we have seen this sort of lineup under Gary O'Neill, where Billing sets himself up on the left-hand side. And I worry whether he can defensively support Zamora, but he has done that at times. Yeah, what's your thoughts on this predicted 11 that Fantasy Football have put out for the Chelsea game?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too far away. Obviously, it hinges on Tavernier and Lerma being fit, because they weren't fit enough, obviously, to play against Newcastle. Minor injuries, according to Gary O'Neill. I don't like Tavernier on the right-hand side, really. I do prefer him on the left, on his natural side. But he is much improved, and he does have the ability to sort of cut in a little bit into midfield. I just think it negates the width on that side, really, because it means that Adam Smith has to slot in there and bomb on down the right, and he can't always be doing that. Which, ironically, you need on both sides when you've got a striker like Kiefer Moore. If we're going to go with two up top, then it's almost, particularly a striker like Kiefer Moore, with Dom Solanke playing off him, it's almost a case for a 4-4-2, isn't it? With two natural wide men bombing down the flanks with those linking up with Zamura and Smith, with those link ups and those partnerships and overlapping, etc., and getting behind fullbacks and putting crosses into the box. But the game's played a lot differently these days, particularly at the top level. And if Chelsea play a back three, that might mean that we have to shift around a little bit, and you might see a slightly different formation to that. But I don't think, if everybody's fit, that'll be a million miles away from the team that he might put out against Chelsea. What formation it'll be and how they'll set up, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's probably about right.
Neto is still out injured. Probably comes too soon for Lloyd Kelly. Might be on the bench, but that'll be an interesting player that Gary O'Neill will be looking at, our club captain. But Mepham and Senesi are building a lovely little partnership for the World Cup, and if they can hit that form straight again, then we'll be well all right. Let's look at the head-to-heads, Matt, because as I said, we have a pretty good record at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. Head-to-heads on the banner below. 3 wins, 2 losses, as we spoke about at the start of the video. And as I come to you for a score prediction in a moment, no draws in there.
No, I don't think we've ever drawn with them, have we? Can't remember ever drawing with them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the head-to-heads for Stamford Bridge. I'm trying to think whether we've drawn to them at home. We've had a few games against them in the Cup. Yeah,
I don't think we've ever drawn with them. I think we beat them 4-0 at home, didn't we? I think we've lost the others at home. I can't remember a draw ever.
Winner takes all then.
Gonna go 1-1. Written all over it. And I'd take that, to be fair, all day long.
Yeah, is that your score prediction? You're going straight in there for 1-1?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, I would take it. And I think we can get it. I think if we approach the game in a similar way to what we did against Newcastle, and like you say, it will be interesting how Gary O'Neill approaches it. If we can nick a goal, which we'll need to do, I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, but if we can stay organised and resolute at the back, they are not firing on all cylinders, and the crowd can quite quickly get on their back if things aren't going their way. It's going to be a massive ask for us to go there and win, I feel. But I would take a 1-1, so I think that's what I'll predict.
I think these score predictions are going to be really difficult for me because I think I'm in a place where I'm just not sure what lineup we're going to put out, how we're going to approach the game, how expressive we might be. And I'd love to say that Bournemouth are going to win 2-1. Chelsea haven't won in 5 Premier League games. At some point, they'll probably turn that around. I mean, I'll probably just match you with a 1-1. It's probably a cop-out, Matt, to be honest with you.
It is a cop-out.
But I think it is a massive cop-out, absolutely. I think we probably will try and be resolute. I think we'll try and be pragmatic. We'll try and be quite deep for 30 minutes, 35 minutes, stay in the fixture, get to half time, be competitive. Gary O'Neill spoke about being competitive. I'm not sure how long he can hold on to the competitiveness now. He's a confirmed head coach. But yeah, it's all about being in the fixture, I suppose. And I am going for a 1-1. Do you think Chelsea score the first goal in this game and we come back? Or do we hit them on the break like we did at Newcastle?
No, I think we score first. I really do. I think we score first, but we're just unable to hold it because obviously that'll prompt them to go on the attack. I think we'll be pegged back somewhat, and I just think we'll struggle to keep them out. Ultimately, the crowd will be on their back, but they'll skank an equaliser.
As long as VAR doesn't play a part, then we'll take a draw at Stamford Bridge. Any point on the road is a very good point. Let's get your score predictions in the comments then. Even put a score a scorer in there if you want. Let us know who you think will score if you do think that the Cherries will score. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button on this video. We do like to get to 50 likes on our previews and any video that we drop. And thank you to our monthly members. Anyone can donate or become a member at buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. And thank you to our opposition guest as well. Make sure you check out his details. The details should be in the description below. Matt, final question. Are you going to the game?
I am indeed, yes.
Excellent. Should see you there then.
Yeah, look forward to it. Yeah, you're going, are you? Yeah.
I am going. And yeah, let's have a good day. Thanks for coming on this preview, Matt. And it's going to be an interesting fixture straight after Christmas.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I hope everybody has themselves a great Christmas. Happy New Year to everybody. If I'm not on until then, thanks for all your support on the channel. It's great to get your views, your opinions in the chat. It'd be great to read that. And I'll try and respond to a few if we get some comments, and let's get a bit of debate going. But yeah, happy Christmas, happy New Year to everybody, and up the Cherries. Let's look forward to a positive day on the 27th as well.
Well done, Matt. Thank you for checking out this video. If you go into the game, have a safe trip, enjoy yourself. Let's hope the Cherries can perform and get something from Stamford Bridge. We've done it before. Why can't we do it again? And we'll have more content after the game. We'll get a reaction. And of course, we'll then be straight again looking at another fixture for Crystal Palace on New Year's Eve. So more videos to come. Thanks for checking out this video from me and Matt. That's your match preview of Chelsea versus AFC Bournemouth. We'll see you on the next one. Up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.